Forging ahead. Despite long-standing hurdles and unfair stereotypes, women in the finance world continue to break down barriers and champion equal opportunities that begin in schoolrooms and continue to the C-suite. By Susan Muldowney. In 2017, Joanna Platt, CPA, came close to walking away from a dream job opportunity. She had just stepped into the elevator at Vanguard Investment Australia, on her way to the interview for the role of CFO, when she came face to face with the classic C-suite stereotype, a man in a pinstripe suit. I almost turned around and walked out, laughs Platt, who landed the CFO job at Vanguard despite the initial self-doubt. I felt intimidated, but that was more my perception. It was nothing like that on the inside. However, if seeing is believing, it is little wonder many women have struggled to picture themselves in senior leadership roles. This is especially the case in industries like accounting, where in Australia, women hold only 32.5% of management positions, according to data from the Workplace Gender Equality Agency, WGEA. Across finance more broadly, where the gender pay gap is the greatest of any industry at 27.5%, women hold only 28.7% of key senior management roles. Women have been chipping away at the glass ceiling for decades. As leaders like Platt illustrate, cracks have certainly emerged. She had few female role models on her way to the top, but notes a significant change in what she says is often regarded as a conservative, closed, male-dominated industry. I can see a big change in the modern workplace, says Platt. The question is whether the pace of change is fast enough. What barriers do women continue to face in finance and accounting, both in entering the profession and progressing within it? And what will it take to even the scales? Opportunities for women in accounting and finance are often determined well before they finish high school. Kate Bushell, founder and director of social enterprise Girls of Impact, says she still hears of teachers discouraging girls from selecting subjects in maths, science, or technology. She says, "It just astounds me that it's still happening. But I think the other challenge that we're up against is years and years of gender norms and unconscious bias that play out from a very early age." Research shows us that girls start discounting themselves from certain jobs at age 7. Girls of Impact works primarily with students in grades 9 and 10, where it aims to influence subject selections that can directly affect future career choices. We can still do a lot of myth-busting in that age group to influence them into thinking much more broadly, says Bushell. Girls of Impact recently teamed up with industry superannuation fund Hester on a project aimed at encouraging more young women to consider a career in financial services. Girls don't see enough of themselves in these spaces, and that's the overarching issue that we have with girls discounting themselves from finance and financial services, says Bushell. For finance leaders like Carolyn Pawley, CPA, Executive Director, Institutional Australia at ANZ Bank, there were few female role models in her industry to aspire to. "I didn't realise until well into my career the importance of informal mentoring and sponsorship," she says. "That was always a mystery to me. Now I participate in mentoring programs and I mentor many people at the bank informally. And it's been a great way to connect to a whole range of different people." Bianca Harteg-Hazelman, founder and CEO of Financy, an organisation that seeks to improve financial capability and economic well-being of women, says that while women continue to carry the majority of undervalued caring responsibilities, they will continue to face career barriers. Even when you look at paid plus unpaid work, women are still doing above and beyond in total hours of work, she says, and a large proportion of that is unpaid work. That's really disappointing, because what we know about unpaid work is that time spent in care, which is very valuable, is unfortunately undervalued from a financial point of view. This can act as a barrier to your own financial progress, to realising your full potential and to realising the big vision of economic gender equality. On a positive note, the accounting and finance profession in Australia offers above average paid carers leave. WGEA Director Mary Wooldridge says that about 70% of businesses in the sector offered paid carers leave. This compares to the Australian business-wide average of 52%. We find that companies that offer paid parental leave dramatically increase the likelihood that women will then return to the business and continue on in that career, she says. In Australia, women have been graduating from university in greater numbers than men for more than a decade. However, many employers claim it is tough to find suitably qualified women for senior roles. My message is to look harder, says Harteg Hazelman. The pipeline, however, is an issue. There is a role not only for organisations, but for universities in the way that they promote management, commerce and MBA programs. However, qualifications are not enough to overcome structural biases. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, have found that when it comes to MBA graduates, men were almost immediately given larger teams to supervise, and this meant that they were awarded higher salaries than women with the same qualifications. We are seeing a gender pay gap already existing out of the blocks for MBA graduates, says Hart Hazelman. There's things that we need to change in terms of gender bias, along with ways to assist the pipeline growth for women. Gender diversity in leadership can't happen without buy-in from the CEO, the board, and the broader executive team. Belinda Shaw, FCPA, General Manager Finance with Sydney Airport, says leaders must put words into action. Companies need to continue to make it a priority to hire, support, and promote women to leadership roles, she says. The WGEA's Wooldridge says a commitment to diversity should be seen as a business challenge and part of the broader business plan. We've done the work that shows the causal relationship between more diversity at senior levels and increased profitability and productivity, she says. One of the things that we recommend is that companies perform a gender pay gap audit so that they can understand where those discrepancies are and where there are blockages in the pipeline or any other issues. Wooldridge notes that about 75% of business in the accounting and finance industries have conducted gender pay gap audits, which is significantly higher than the average overall. In accounting, about half of those who conducted the audit did something about it, she says. For finance, 80% have taken action as well. That is a credit to the finance industry, because the average is just over 50%. WGEA calculates it will take 26 years to close the gender pay gap. What underlies a lot of this is very rigid gender stereotypes in terms of roles and promotion and opportunities, says Wooldridge. This type of long-term culture isn't straightforward to shift, but it certainly can be done with leadership and commitment and transparency and targets.